Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the class. We are doing the chapter The Making of the Regional Culture, and under this chapter, we are doing about the growth of a regional language that is Bengali. As we have seen that there was very much influence of Sanskrit on the language Bengali, and other than Sanskrit, we find that the Persian was also uh, the impact of Persian was also there on the language, and other than these two main language, there were some other languages which have its influence on Bengali language, that is tribal language and some European language, and thus became thus this evolution of Bengali language took place, and now we will see that the early Bengali literature can be divided into two categories. One is indebted to Sanskrit, and the other is independent of it. है ना? So, this is important for you that the early Bengali literature may be divided into टू कैटेगरीज है ना. पहला जो है वो ये है कि संस्कृत का जिस पर हमें इम्पैक्ट ज़्यादा दिखता है ना. एंड द अदर है इन ऑन विच वी फाइंड दैट द इम्पैक्ट ऑफ संस्कृत इज लेसर. Okay, in the first we find there is included this translation of Sanskrit epics, है ना, like मंगल काव्य. मंगल काव्य और इसके अलावा और भी भक्ति लिटरेचर्स थे, लाइक बायोग्राफीज ऑफ चैतन्यानंद, who was the leader of Vaishnav Bhakti movement. So all these belong to this first category, that is indebted to Sanskrit. Okay, so this Mangal Kavya and this biography of Chaitanyand, Chaitanya Deva. ठीक है. And then we see that the second one, in which we find that there is lesser impact of Sanskrit. We find it includes Nath literature, such as songs of Mayanmati and Gopi Chandra, stories concerning the worship of Dharma Thakur, and फेरी टेल्स, फोक टेल्स, बैलड्स, ये सारे जो है वो इसके अंदर आते हैं. ठीक है. सो दीज आर ऑल्सो इम्पॉर्टेंट. एंड देन वी सी Mayanmati, Gopi Chandra, and Dharma Thakur. Uh, these are we find that these all belong to Naths. Okay, and this particular song was often enacted, and in this it was described how Mayanmati Mainmati, who was a queen, encouraged her son Gopi Chandra to adopt the path of asceticism in the face of variety of obstacles. So it is uh, this is the story of the song, and it is enacted. And Dharma Thakur is a popular regional deity uh, who is worshipped in the form of a stone or a piece of wood. ओके. एंड नाउ वी सी जो फर्स्ट कैटेगरी के टेक्स्ट है उनकी डेटिंग इजी है. इट इज़ इजी टू डेट देम कि दे हैव बीन रिटन ऑन विच डेट. And because so many manuscripts have been found which indicate that they were composed between the late 15th and mid 18th century. And the second category के जो टेक्स्ट है, these are circulated orally, and that is why we are not able to date them precisely. They were particularly popular in Eastern Bengal because in Eastern Bengal the influence of Bengalis were Brahmins were weak. That is why impact of Sanskrit is also lesser. है ना? So this is the difference between these two literature, Bengali literature. Okay, and now we will see about the peers and the temples. So, from the 16th century, uh, so many changes started to occur uh, in Bengal. the lives of people were changing very fast. We see that people started to migrate from the less fertile West Bengal to the forested and marshy areas of साउथ ईस्टर्न बंगाल. ठीक है, लोग जो थे वो वेस्ट बंगाल से साउथ ईस्टर्न बंगाल की तरफ माइग्रेट हो रहे थे. एंड जब वो when they were moving eastward, what they were doing, they were clearing the forests, and after clearing the forest, that land was cultivated. That is, that is known as burn and slash, or sifting cultivation. So they started doing a sifting cultivation, and they brought the land under rice cultivation. Rice was the main crop here. So gradually, what happened that uh, people like sifting cultivators, fisher folk was also there because of this availability of water. है ना, फिशर folk भी थे, शिफ्टिंग कल्टीवेटर्स थे, ट्राइबल्स थे, और ये सब जो है पेजेंट्स के साथ सभी आपस में मिल गए. है ना, दिस वाज द, वी कैन से, मर्जिंग of different types of people. On the one hand, fisher folk, on the other hand, shifting cultivators, then tribals, then communities of peasants. They all mixed, they all merged with one another. And what happened that at this time only some other changes were also taking place, the Mughal control over Bengal was uh, establishing at this time, and Dhaka was made the capital of this Bengal, which was under the control of Mughal. है ना? And we find that the officials and functionaries, they received land, and uh, many times they set up mosque, because these officials and functionaries are all Mughals. They are all belonging to Muslim community. So they set up mosque, and these mosques served as center for religious transformation in these areas, because that time was uh, the monarchical system was there. It's not it was not a time of democracy as we have at present. There was no concept of secularism or like anything like that. So the trend was that all the people should belong to that religious community to which the king belongs. है ना, तो इसलिए ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन उस समय काफ़ी ज़्यादा होता था. अगर राजा मुगल है, मुस्लिम है, तो फिर जो पीपल हैं दे शुड आल्सो बी मुस्लिम. तो इस कारण से ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन होता था और मॉस्क में ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन कराया जाता था. तो in this way you can see that because of this rule of Mughal over India, over this region of Bengal, the lives of the people were changing. बहुत ज़्यादा चेंज आ रहे हैं ना, उनका रिलीजन बदल रहा है. So, this kind of condition was highly unstable, because so many things are happening. In this type of situation, people become little bit anxious. They become unstable, है ना? And in this situation, they want some community leaders, है ना? उनको लगता है कुछ कोई उनका लीडर हो जो कि उनको समझा सके, पढ़ा सके, सही रास्ता दिखा सके, है ना? सो people wanted that there must be some community leaders who should function as teachers, who should function as adjudicators, है ना? And they also thought, people also thought that these community leaders were having some supernatural power, है ना, उनके पास कुछ सुपर नेचुरल पावर है. सो पीपल रेफर टू देम विथ अफेक्शन एंड रिस्पेक्ट एज पीर्स. इन लोगों को, इन्हीं कम्युनिटी लीडर्स को हम क्या कहते हैं, पीर कहते हैं. ठीक है, उनको लोग बहुत ज़्यादा रिस्पेक्ट देते थे, बहुत ज़्यादा उनका उनसे अफेक्शन था लोगों को, और ये लगता था कि वो हमारे प्रॉब्लम्स को दूर कर देंगे। ठीक है, सो दीज पीपल वर नोन एज पीर्स। सो पीर क्या हुआ? जैसे लाइक सेंट्स होते हैं, सूफीज होते हैं, है ना, रिलीजियस पर्सनालिटीज होते हैं, उसी तरह से पीर्स भी उसी में आते हैं, है ना। सो वी सी दैट ये जो पीर्स का जो कल्ट था वो बहुत ही ज़्यादा पॉपुलर हुआ था बंगाल में, एंड उनके श्राइन्स भी बने थे। देयर श्राइन्स कैन ऑल्सो बी फाउंड एवरीवेयर इन बंगाल, एंड वी सी दैट बंगाल ऑल्सो witnessed a temple building spree from the late 15th century. टेम्पल बहुत ज़्यादा बनने लगे थे लेट 15th century से। So, this temple building spree was culminated in the 19th century. सबसे ज़्यादा अगर हम देखें कि बंगाल में कब टेम्पल बनना स्टार्ट हुआ था, तो it was in the 19th century. Okay, and we find that in the previous chapters also you have read that temples and other religious structures were often built by individuals or groups who were becoming powerful. जो पावरफुल इंडिविजुअल थे या ग्रुप, वो बनवाते थे टेम्पल। क्यों? ताकि वो एक तो अपने पावर को दिखा सके कि हाउ पावरफुल दे आर, है ना। पीपल शुड नो कि दे आर द पावरफुल पीपल बिकॉज आई एम कंस्ट्रक्टिंग दिस टेम्पल, सो आई एम पावरफुल, है ना। डेमोन्स्ट्रेट देयर पावर एंड टू प्रोक्लेम देयर piety. So, people used to make temples in order to show their power and in order to proclaim their piety. Means that to show the people that how much devoted they are towards the God. है ना? Because I am so much devoted towards the God that I have constructed this temple. है ना? And we find that the temples which were built in Bengal, where they were actually built by the several low social group people like Kolu, Kansari. These are the low social groups. कोलू हो गए ऑयल प्रेसर्स जो होते हैं, एंड कंसारीज आर बेल मेटल वर्कर्स. सो दीज आर द लो सोशल ग्रुप्स who were involved with the function of metal temple building. Okay, and now we find that one more changes was were occurring in the lives of the people, like this is the time when we see that the European trading companies started to trade in India. You know, they used to purchase cotton fabrics and spices from India, and used to sell it in the distant land of Europe. Okay, so many European trading companies arrived in India, and because of this, new economic opportunities were created. And what you find, what is the difference now that these European companies, they did not believe in the system of caste inequalities, है ना। they for them everyone was equal, even a Brahmin or a Sudra. So the job opportunity, the economic opportunity which were created by these European trading companies, they were open for all. And in this we find that so many families who belong to these lower social groups, they availed this economic opportunity, and with this their social and economic position improved, है ना। And they proclaimed their status through the construction of temples. Now, when their economic and social condition improved, they have to proclaim their status, है ना। उनको अपना status दिखाना है अब. So how they will show their status? Through the construction of temples. Construct करके, ठीक है. So we see that local deities over worshipped in thatched huts in villages. Now they gained the recognition of Brahmins, and their images began to be housed in temples. है ना। जो लोकल डेटीज होती थी, जिनको पहले घरों में पूजा की जाती थी, है ना, अब उनको क्या किया गया कि उनके इमेज बना के टेम्पल्स में पूजा करने लगे, की जाने लगी. अब जब टेम्पल्स जो थे वो दो तरह के होते थे, दो चला और चौचला। दो चला हुआ डबल रूफ्ड एंड चौचला हुआ फोर रूफ्ड, है ना। सो दीज टू टाइप्स ऑफ टेम्पल्स जो है वो हमें दिखते हैं, जो कि कॉपी थे thatched huts के ही, है ना। एंड वी सी दैट ऑल दिस लेड टू द एवोल्यूशन ऑफ टिपिकल बंगाली स्टाइल इन टेम्पल आर्किटेक्चर। एकदम ही टिपिकल बंगाली स्टाइल ये था टेम्पल आर्किटेक्चर का, थैच्ड रूफ वाला, जो दो चला और चौचला की बात कर रहे हैं, दैट इज ओके। And we find that in the comparatively more complex four roofed structure, how it was constructed, four triangular roofs placed on the four walls, चार वॉल है, चारों पे जो triangular roof है उसको place कर दिया जाता था, and they move up to converge on a point or on a curved line, ठीक है। एंड टेम्पल्स वर यूजुअली बिल्ट ऑन अ स्क्वायर प्लेटफॉर्म, प्लेटफॉर्म स्क्वायर होता था, ठीक है। एंड द इंटीरियर वॉज रिलेटिवली प्लेन, इंटीरियर भी बहुत ज़्यादा कॉम्प्लेक्स नहीं होता था, सिंपल होता था। लेकिन आउटर वॉल जो होता था वो, उसमें बहुत सारे डेकोरेशंस होते थे, पेंटिंग से, है ना, ऑर्नामेंटल टाइल्स से, टेराकोटा टैबलेट से। और कुछ ऐसे भी टेम्पल्स है, लाइक इसमें एक एग्जांपल आपका है विष्णुपुर का, बांकुरा डिस्ट्रिक्ट का, जो विष्णुपुर जो कि वेस्ट बंगाल में है, वेस्ट बंगाल के बांकुरा डिस्ट्रिक्ट में है। वहाँ पर ऐसे डेकोरेशन बहुत ही ज़्यादा खूबसूरती के साथ किए गए थे टेम्पल्स में। अब हम देखेंगे कि फिश एज फूड का ये मतलब हो रहा है कि यहाँ पर जो सबसे ज़्यादा इजीली अवेलेबल आइटम था फूड का, दैट वाज फिश, है ना। एंड बंगाल जो है वो रेवरिन प्लेन है, तो वहाँ पर बहुत राइस और फिश जो है दैट इज द मेन फूड of this place. Or these two items figure prominently in the menu of even poor Bengalis. Poor Bengalis भी rice and fish जरूर खाते थे। And fishing जो था वो बहुत important occupation था। And in Bengali literature also we see that there are so many references to fish. And what is more, we find that terracotta plaques on the walls of temples and viharas, these also depict scenes of fish being dressed and taken to the market in the basket। उन सब में भी उनको दिखाया जाता था, तो फिश उनके कल्चर का एक बहुत ही इम्पोर्टेंट पार्ट था, ओके। एंड नाउ वी सी कि व्हाट मोर थिंग इज देयर, लाइक ब्राह्मणास हु आर सपोज टू बी नॉन वेजिटेरियन, है ना, बट the Brahmins who were living in Bengal, they were given this relaxation, they can have fish and they can still be Brahmins, है ना। लाइक बृहद धर्मा पुराण जो है, जो कि एक 13th सेंचुरी की संस्कृत टेक्स्ट है बंगाल की, उसमें इस बात की परमिशन दी गई है कि जो लोकल ब्राह्मण्स हैं दे कैन ईट certain varieties of fish. That is also important to understand. It's not कि all the fishes, all the variety of fish can be eaten by these brahmins. No, only certain variety of fish can be eaten. Okay. Now we see emergence of nation states in Europe. This is elsewhere. What was happening in other parts of the Europe at this time? तो इस समय हम क्या देखते हैं कि जो यूरोप है वहाँ पर भी बहुत बड़े बड़े एम्पायर होते थे, जैसे हमारे यहाँ उस समय मुगल एम्पायर था। इन द सिमिलर वे इन यूरोप ऑल्सो सच ए बिग एम्पायर्स वर देयर, लाइक ऑस्ट्रो हंगेरियन एम्पायर, है ना। एंड नॉट ओनली दिस, एट दैट टाइम, जिस टाइम की हम बात कर रहे हैं 18th सेंचुरी की, तो उस समय चर्च भी वहाँ पर बहुत ही पावरफुल था, है ना। बट फ्रॉम द लेट 18th सेंचुरी वी सी दैट पीपल started to identify themselves as a member of community. People wanted to be united with those people who speak common language, है ना, like German, Italy, or on the basis of language only we find that so many new countries were created. Like Germany was not existing, but German language was there. People were there who used to speak German language, but Germany was not existing. So during this time only we find what happened, that all the German speak, all the reasons which were having this German speaking people, these reasons were integrated. है ना? These reasons were united, and now Germany came into existence. In the similar way, Italy also came into existence, which is known as unification of Italy, unification of Germany. So all this was happening in Europe in the 18th century, and the main reason was language. The language was the binding factor among the people. So we have completed the chapter, and in the next class, we will do some extra questions from this chapter. Okay.